Bosh, and we're underway. Right, welcome everyone to another episode of East Meets West, Lions edition, Lions selection edition today. Edge, how are you, pal?
I'm good, mate. Good.
We're
Good
pretty
Lions
much,
squad.
eh?
Good Lions squad.
Mate, well, we're pretty much, what was it last Thursday? Last Thursday?
Yeah, last Thursday, 2:00. Well, half 2 it was, weren't it?
Yeah, we're a little bit late to the party, but in some ways that's a good thing. We've had time to think about this. And sort of dial it in. Nearly a week on. Yeah, I did notice it did sort of. I know, obviously, it's a bit of pomp and ceremony in it, and it's such a big deal. Once every 4 years, once every 12 years to each different country. But it did sort of feel like it was dragging a bit.
I think it's the first ever time it's been given to public to be there for it. That was the first ever time. And I think it was brilliant.
People are paying to be there, so they want to sort of make the most of it.
I don't know if they paid.
I did sort of like it when Monye was like, Ugo Monye, they were like, oh, how do you feel? He's like, look, I know exactly how they're feeling. Let's just get on with it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
They slipped up with Maro Itoje, mate. They showed him before Alan Wynne-Jones come on. They didn't mean to, but you just saw Maro Itoje, and so I was like, he's the captain, but it was always going to be captain. I hate to say it, mate, he had a few years where he was struggling with illness and that, and he was like the second or third best lock in the world, behind Etzebeth, who, hate to say it, South Africa.
That fella. Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, I think if Maro Itoje wins a World Cup with England, wins the Lions series, he's outdone Martin Johnson, and that's a big thing to say, just because of how good he's been.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when he first burst onto the scene for England in 2016, I want to say, he was being spoke about then as a future Lions captain. Probably looking at 2021. So I think 2017 came a bit quick for him. I know he obviously played. He played all 3 tests. He started the last 6 tests.
Yeah, he's mental, mate. Like the way that the guy's he's a terror, isn't he?
Yeah. So
and
with obviously Caelan Doris unfortunately being injured, was Itoje the not only choice for captain, but do you think he was the clear and obvious choice?
Him and Doris would have been the 2 obvious you would have thought about.
Yeah.
But then there's other people you got to look at as well. Do you know what I mean?
If Itoje,
Finn Russell.
Let's say if you're because it would have been a group decision on the captain. I'd take it. If you and I were part of that selection committee, and we got the phone call and gone, Maro don't want the armband. Who are you going for?
Who would I have gone for?
If Maro didn't want it or Maro wasn't available, who would have been sort of third choice captain for you, in your opinion? Because I think Doris probably would have been number 1.
I think it was between Doris and Itoje, but I would have said Itoje's more set on in his position to play. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
He's more set for that position to play, and I reckon he was always going to get the captaincy. England had a great 6 Nations. Ireland starting to decline a bit. You can see that within the autumn internationals and this.
Yeah.
So, personally, I would have given it to Finn Russell because, he's got to be our number 10.
Starting 10.
Starting 10's got to be Finn Russell. Like, you look at what he's done with Bath.
Oh, supreme.
That's what I mean. I know.
Just a top level. He's got a bit of everything in his game, isn't he? You know, he's not a Johnny Wilkinson defensively, but he's certainly no slouch. He puts the people in. He's got a wand of a boot, a right foot. He's got all the flair and skills in the world. He's got the balls to take risks. He's got that he's mastered that little delay in the pass, that little pump, and supreme. Do you know, he reminds me a little bit of, do you remember when Danny Cipriani was at Gloucester? And for about 6 months, he was just next world level, unbelievable. When I remember he was centre field and he just kicked past it all the way to the wing, and
Yeah.
he was doing these outrageous over the top passes. And I think Russell for Bath at the minute is a bit like that.
He's done it for a couple of years, mate. Look at the way Scotland play. I know they've lost big games. They haven't done stuff, but if he wasn't in that 10 shirt, Scotland wouldn't have played the way that they have. I know it sounds horrible. They've got good players, Scotland, as well. Like, to be honest, I'm glad that 3 of the Scotland's backs, well, 4 of the Scotland backs made it. Do you know what I mean? You got the Finn Russell, like Tui Tupalutu or whatever he called him. Can't pronounce his name. And then you got Hugh Jones, is it? And then you got Blair Kinghorn, even though Blair Kinghorn's wearing a knee brace.
Yeah,
But they deserve it. Scotland have been amazing. Like, centre-wise, like the centres, you can't really go against who they've chosen.
yeah.
The centres.
Just lastly on the captaincy, do you think that the position of the player plays a part? Reason being, I remember watching the 1997 Lions documentary to South Africa, and one of the main reasons they picked Johnson was because obviously you know that the archetypal Springbok is a big, powerful athlete.
Yeah.
They're just a big breed of people, and they are front up, forward dominated, physical people. So Johnson was picked because they wanted someone in that first little confrontation, if you can call it, captain to captain with the referee. They wanted someone who the box would be eye level or looking up at. They didn't want the Springbok captain to be looking down on the Lions captain. It was that little psychology of it, and obviously Johnson was an abrasive, very physical player himself.
Oh, yeah.
I think I was listening to, it was either Jamie Roberts or Brian O'Driscoll speaking to Sky Sports about positions, and they said that the second row, because I think if you look back through Lions history, the majority of the captains have been second rows. Obviously, you think 2021, Alan Wynne, obviously 17 and 13, Sam Warburton, but 2009, Paul O'Connell, CO5 was O'Driscoll, but 2001, Martin Johnson, 1997, Martin Johnson, and then Willie John McBride and all that throughout the 70s and 80s. But that they were saying that the second row might be perfect because they're in the thick of it, close enough to the action to know what's happened to speak to the referee. Whereas if you've got a fullback as captain, they're going to have to come all the way from outfield. And it's almost like they don't know what's just happened, you know? Do you think that plays a part in your opinion?
Well, if you look at it, like you say, like when you look at some great leaders in rugby, you said it, Paul O'Connell, he was like number 4, number 5, a lock. Even look at Lawrence Dallaglio, number 8. Then you could look at other people like Martin Johnson. Martin Corrie was a number 8 for Leicester. Do you know what I mean? I know it's like, I don't know. I just think you give the player who's most likely going to be like helping the squad with the referee. Because if you've got a player who's obnoxious, going to scream at the ref's going to go against you. You want someone who's diplomatic.
Well,
Listen to
look at Sam Warburton, prime example. His politeness and being on side with the referee saved the Lions in that third test, didn't it? But remember that final call? I still don't understand it myself, but it's just calm. He didn't go up to the referee demanding anything. Just, are you sure about that, sir? Or very calm and just that little. And you look at obviously one of my favourite ever players, Richie McCaw, very good with the referee as well.
He knew the rules. That's the problem. He knew the rules better than the ref.
Yeah, and he knew exactly how far he could push it.
Yeah.
Anyway, mate, do you want to start forwards or backs? I'll just run through my little list there.
Do you want to do forwards?
Yeah, let's go. So props selected. Xander Fagerson, obviously Scotland and Glasgow. Tyg Furlong, Leinster, Ireland. Ellis Genge, very happy to see that. Bristol in England. Andrew Porter, Leinster, Ireland. Pierre Schumann, Am I saying that right? Schumann?
Oh, I don't know. Schumann, I think it is, but
Edinburgh and Scotland, and Will Stewart, Bath
so
in England. Anyone there that you were surprised at?
the only one I was surprised at, but he deserves to be there, was Tad Furlong because of his injuries. But he's a player. He's a baller.
Well, this will be his third tour. I always thought his name was always going to be on the list. They were just glad to see him have a couple of games, or 4 or 5 games, whatever it will be, before they set off to Australia. I think, barring a catastrophic injury, he was always going to be on there because sensational in 2017, did very well in the home of the scrum in 2021.
Yeah.
I was glad. Looking at the list personally, is there anyone that who could feel aggrieved? Do you think anyone who's like really disappointed?
Props wise, no.
Yeah, I agree. I was glad to see the 2 English boys in there. Very glad to see them. I think Will Stewart, if he plays as he has done this season, can really push Furlong for that starting berth, and may even be ahead of him right now. It's hard to say.
I know that there's some people who are annoyed. I know some people are annoyed with the squad because there's people who aren't really British Irish Lions, like they weren't born in Britain. But at the end of the day, they play for a club, or they play for a nation, the clubs in the UK.
Yeah.
And I think like what needs to happen there is like, I hate to say it, I think it was Willie McBride what come out of it, right? But the Welsh pack, like the Welsh front row, don't really deserve anything, if I'm honest. They've lost 17 international games in a row.
Yeah.
Like, when you've got Ireland who, do you know what I mean? Obviously don't make it past the quarterfinal in a World Cup, but they've won 6 Nations Grand Slams and stuff like that. You would be like, yeah, they deserve it. Leinster, smashing everything up. Do you know what I mean? Those props play for Leinster. Those Irish props play for Leinster. So
Yeah.
you've got to give them it. The English boys, great Six Nations. They're strong lads. They're doing well for their clubs. You got Ellis Genge, strong boy. He can come on or do whatever. And then you got Stewart, who's been solid as an ox. If I'm honest, he's as a tight head, solid.
I think Will Stewart is a tight head prop without a weakness, particularly in the scrum and set piece. I think he's similar to Furlong as well.
I think Furlong's just more mobile.
You say that, but I saw, particularly in the Italy game, I saw some fancy footwork from Will Stewart.
Oh yeah, but Furlong is you know what I mean. Furlong's done it for years, isn't he?
Of course he has. Yeah. You mentioned there some people aren't happy with the squad. Now, primarily, I think we're looking at the names I've seen people moan about are James Lowe, James Park, and Bundy Aki. Now, do you think that is a little bit of jealousy from people because the Irish team? I mean, 2 of those 3 are Leinster, who aren't the most popular club in the world.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, the only one personally I have an issue with is James Lowe, because he has literally played against the Lions for New Zealand Maori in 2017. So to me, I'm like, oh. The others I'm not too worried about because I don't remember all this backlash in 2021 when Duan van der Merwe was selected, or in 2017 when Ben Teo was selected, or 2013 when I'm trying to think of someone else. Manu Tuilagi, Ricky Flutie in 2009. I didn't remember all the backlash for them. I did a bit of research. Elliot Daly's played against the Lions for the Barbarians, so that's a different story because that's a bit of a. But the other 3, Gibson Park, Aki, and Lowe. No, they weren't born in Britain, but they've done what they needed to do to be citizens and eligible for their countries. Personally, I don't think you should play for a country unless you were physically born there, regardless of grandparents and any of this. I think it should be way off physically born. But that's by the by. The only one I've got major issue with is James Lowe, because he's literally played against the Lions in a tour during the tour. And if he'd have been selected for the All Blacks, he would have ditched Ireland and gone straight back to New Zealand, wouldn't he?
Yeah, but he didn't. It's like you could say that about anyone. Like, do you know what I mean? He played against them in 2017, but at the end of the day, he was playing in New Zealand in 2017.
Yeah.
So it's like Lee Halfpenny. Just say, imagine when Lee Half. So just say we were going to New Zealand last year, Lions, and they played the Crusaders. Lee Halfpenny was playing for the Crusaders. Do you know what I mean? So he could have played against the Lions if he wasn't selected, but played for the Crusaders. So it's no different.
That's back to front, isn't it? He's already done it for the Lions.
But what I'm saying is, it doesn't matter where you're born, where you play. It matters about what nation you're in now. James Lowe's been one of the best wingers in the Northern Hemisphere for a while. You tell me who's going to take him out of the team. What winger is good enough to take him out of the team?
Well, I think he starts.
Same here. If you look at it, the starters for the wingers, really, well, we'll go through the starters. Shall we do the starters now for the props?
Yeah,
we'll start and bench.
As we go through. So,
shall we start and bench?
Who's your starting tight head?
Starting tight head.
Loose head, sorry. We're starting number one.
Starting loose head, I'd choose the two Leinster boys as the first two props. So I would go with Andrew Porter loose head, Tad Furlong tight head. Reserves, that's where I'll probably go with Ellis Genge first test. This is just the first test. Second, and I'd go Stewart for the first test. The only reason why I choose them two, you're bringing on, so you got power from the start, you're now bringing on more power.
Yeah. I think Genge and Porter is very, very close. I mean, people, particularly Irish, would probably disagree with that. But do you know what? I think it's a toss of a coin between those two. So, yeah, I'll go with that. Okay, so Porter starts loose head, Furlong starts tight head, Ellis Genge and Will Stewart prop forwards on the bench.
Yeah.
Okay. Hookers. We got Luke Cowan-Dickie.
Yeah. Thought you'd do that.
Yeah. Mate, as a Cornishman, second Lions tour. Obviously, Phil Vickery went on 2 Lions tours. Jack Noel went in 2017, and Luke Cowan-Dickie's 21 and 25, so I'm very happy with that. Yeah, Luke Cowan-Dickie, Sale, England, Kelleher, Leinster, Ireland, and Dan Sheehan, Leinster, Ireland. I think Dan Sheehan is the standout at the moment.
Dan Sheehan will be the starter. Then I'll go Luke Cowan-Dickie, but I would say there is one hooker who could be a bit aggrieved. He's basically the best thrower of a line-out ball, and that's probably Jamie George, who didn't make it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, that's still, those 3 hookers deserve to be there. And I would put Sheehan first, Cowan-Dickie on the bench.
Yeah, I think Cowan-Dickie, I'm going to back him 100%, but I think him and Kelleher are probably quite close. I think the main thing is Cowan-Dickie's had more exposure to big games, just because Kelleher is behind Sheehan for club and country, whereas Luke Cowan-Dickie is starting for Sale week in, week out, and he was the start. I think, did he start every Six Nations game for England, bar maybe one?
He was starting for England over Jamie George, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that big game experience, and he's toured before.
Yeah.
So I think that'll get. But yeah, I'm content with that, mate. Keller. So we got an all Leinster front row.
I think you have to, mate.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with the Scottish props and that. They're close. Sander Ferguson, Showman. I'll probably say that. I'll tell you what, he's up there. All three of them are up there. It's just this is for me for the first test to
Yeah.
do that. Second test, if any of them bugger up, that's where you got Showman,
Well,
you got
I'm also
Sander Ferguson.
you've got is it four games before the first test?
Exactly.
So plenty of time for the guys to prove themselves. But I think the props, there's not, apart from maybe Furlong in his prime, where we don't know whether he's on the other end of that now.
Yeah.
I don't think there's an outstanding head and shoulders above the rest. I think the props are all quite close. Whereas with the hookers, obviously I think the world of Cowan Dickey, and Kelleher is top player as well, but Sheehan is different gravy at the minute, isn't he?
Yeah, he's doing really well at the moment for
Yeah.
Leinster.
Right, second row. So we've got Ty Byrne, Munster,
Yeah, McCarthy.
and Ollie Chesham, Leicester Tigers. Those two are very interesting because I think either of them could pack down a blindside flanker if need be. Scott Cummings, Glasgow, Maro Itoje, Saracens, England, captain. Joe McCarthy, Leinster, Ireland, and is it Gordon Ryan? I keep wanting to say Dean Ryan, but it's not. It's Gordon Ryan, Leinster, Ireland.
It's hard.
He's obviously in there.
Maro Itoje's in there.
Wow, he's got to prove himself because if you remember, 2017, Sam Warburton didn't start the first test, did he?
I think he had an injury that year. I'm not sure.
Was it? Well,
Yeah,
Peter and Ryan. But Itoje still, he can't play crap. You know, he's still got to be up there, but he will be. Who's probably in?
This is the hard part because all of those players.
The obvious choice is Ty Byrne, but it's hard.
I would put. So I wouldn't say Ty Byrne. Do you know what I mean? It is hard.
Is the partnership of the two locks vital in terms of do you need to put two guys who know each other? So does it need to be Itoje and Chesham?
I wouldn't even say that. For me, Chesham's not involved.
Really?
Like he would be like the tour squad second row.
Okay.
To me, I'm looking at Ryan, and I'm looking at Byrne and McCarthy. They're the three what you want to go with, and I would probably, if I'm honest, I'd probably go with. It's hard. I'll go with Ryan.
I'm happy to concede on this one. I personally would have gone with Ty Byrne, but I don't know.
Good,
I don't know an awful lot about the second row, so
nor do I, mate.
I'm happy to concede on that one.
But
right, okay,
don't concede, mate. Don't concede.
Eh?
Don't concede if you feel that, because don't forget he could be in there.
I don't know enough about the second row, the engine room, to really fight that one, so I'm happy with that. So we got Maro Itoje, Gordon, and Ryan. Right. Back row. Loose forwards. This is where it gets very interesting. Conan, Leinster and Ireland. Tom Curry, Sale and England. Ben Earl, Saracens and England. Jack Morgan, Ospreys and Wales. Henry Pollock, Northampton and England. And Van der Fleer, Leinster and Ireland. Anyone who surprised you?
No.
I was a little bit surprised to see Ben Earl. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it. I was disappointed not to see Jack Willis in there. I understand that I think Jack Willis is on a bit of a standby list because if you look at it, we've only got one out-and-out number 8 in there. I know they can all do. I know Ben Earl has played number 8 for Saracens in England, but he's more of a 7, isn't he? In terms of your archetypal number 8, like Lawrence Dallaglio or a Kieran Reid or a Billy Vunipola, Jack Conan's the only like massive truck it up, crash ball carrier, isn't he? The rest of them, they've got their strengths. The rest of them are quite dynamic, quick, and I think this selection of back row forwards is the biggest indication of how Andy Farrell wants to play. This ain't going to be classic Northern Hemisphere box kick, grunting mauls. This is going to be, let's keep the ball in play and let's keep moving.
Yeah.
So I think with that selection, you've got to put Conan at number 8.
So, you would say that, yeah. But then you've got to think about Ben Earls played number 8 for England. But I reckon he'll go Conan number 8. I'd go.
Well, this is who would we pick? Never mind Andy Farrell.
Who would I pick? I would probably. I'll pick Conan at number. I'll pick him.
All right. Blindside.
Blindside. This is where now I'm going.
To me, the two obvious standouts are Tom Curry, Jack Morgan.
I would not choose none of them.
Oh.
I'll go with Henry Pollock.
At blindside?
At blindside. The reason why I'll go blindside is because he's quick, strong in the ball, great jackler, same as the other two. The other two are great. But at this present time, that guy's form is flying.
Okay.
And also, he can like you saw him against Leinster. He out-sprinted a 10, that Pendergast.
Yeah.
He out-sprinted him. Do you know what I mean? And if you've got that as a blind side, think of who the open side, who I'm going to choose after you've chosen your blind side. Mate, that back row's scary. And to have Curry, Ben Earl, and Jack Morgan as the replacements, that's scary, mate. It's scary.
Right. I'm going Tom Curry at blindside.
Yeah?
And Van der Fleer open side.
I'm going Van der Fleer open. That's the reason why Pollock's number 6.
Yeah, I think Pollock. But then again, this could change. I think right now he is really, really, really on form. I don't know, actually. Because Van der Fleer at 7, Curry at 6, and Conan at 8. That's amazing. But that's very traditional position by position. Whereas if you stick, because Van der Fleer is like your classic 7, isn't he?
He's a beast.
Jackler, can truck it up, make tackle after tackle after tackle. Henry Pollock has a bit of everything.
He has, mate, and like everyone goes on about his arrogance. He's not arrogant. This is his persona he's confident. He's got his persona, and this persona's got him to where it is now.
And we're going to need that against Australia because the Aussies are not. They won't take a step back when someone gives them a bit of a pat on the back and a bit of encouragement. They're not. They won't go. Oh, thanks, mate. They're going to be
bang on it.
Yeah. Mate, I think right now, it's Tom Curry at 6 and Van der Fleer at 7. Fleer at 7. But with the games coming up and the games against the Brumbies and Queensland Reds and Australia B and whoever, I think I wouldn't be surprised if Pollock forces his way in if he carries on like he is. But yeah, I think Tom Curry, second tour, you know exactly what you're going to get.
Yeah.
Energy, hard as nails. Tackle everything, compete for everything. Van der Fleer is going to be over that ball, strong as an ox. You can't move him, quick, everything. And so now I'm thinking, do we go Ben Earl at 8? Or do you go Pollock at 8?
Nah, Pollock's not an 8. I'd leave him in the flankers. You could go Ben Earl at 8. But, again, Ben Earl's also a centre option.
I think the centres are pretty much.
No, but as an injury backup, he's a centre option. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm going to stick with mine, which is Pollock at 6, Fleer at 7, and
Conan
just at 8. It's either him or Ben for me, but I'll stick Conan.
Right, I'll go with the traditional grunt of Curry, Van der Fleer, and Conan, and I'm going to bring on Ben Earl and Pollock when the Aussies are tiring with half an hour to go, and they're just going to rip it up. Right.
Could do.
Nines.
My nine's going to be. Everyone's going to moan at me about my 9. Got to go with the Welsh boy, mate. What he's done for Gloucester this year. I know they've had a massive. I know they've lost to Harlequins at the weekend. But I think he's great, mate. Wales know how to do a scrum half. Sorry, they know how to create scrum halves. You look at their history of scrum halves. They know how to create a worldie of a scrum half.
I mean, you just go back the past few years. Reece Webb, brilliant.
Dwayne Peel.
Yeah. Who was
You've got to look at Howard.
He was a scrum half in 2009 and 13. Tall guy.
Mike Phillips.
Rob Howley.
Rob Howley, that's the one. Rob Howley. Do you know what I mean? They know how to do it. They know how to produce a scrum half.
I agree on that one. I think, it's probably going to be Gibson Park. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I would pick Williams. I think if you had Johnny Sexton still playing, or Prendergast was selected, if the 10 was an Irishman, I think Gibson Park is in there 100% because of that combination. But I think Williams.
I think we all know number 10. Is there any?
Yeah, to just run through it, it was Gibson Park from Leinster and Ireland.
Yeah.
Mitchell from Northampton and England. I think you never know. I think the 3 nines are not. There's not a million miles between them. And
the thing with Mitchell, I think with Mitchell sometimes he gets lost. When he gets lost in a game, he doesn't know how to change it.
Is that because of the way that the England coach doesn't like them to play free ball? Because if you look at him for Northampton,
yeah, but sometimes he just gets lost. And I personally think like Gibson Park, look at what he's achieved, and Williams, like I said, Wales know how to do a great scrum half, and that's the reason why I'm sticking with him because he's been great this season. He come back for a couple of games for Wales in the Six Nations. They got better. He moved them forward, played with pace. You think you play with pace with him at the start, and then bring on Gibson Park or Mitchell to keep the pace going. You're going to last. Well, it's going to be Gibson Park, but again,
I think there's a reason why there was only one Welsh forward picked because the forward pack really struggled. Now, if you put Williams behind a front foot forward pack,
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm going with him. I'm going to go with
10. We've got Finn Russell, Bath in Scotland. Finn Smith, Northampton, England. Marcus Smith, Quins in England. Who are you picking to start?
There's only one.
I think this is tighter than you might think.
So I would honestly, you've got to think now the type of game plan that they want to do. If they want to go fast flowing, you're going to choose 2, Marcus Smith and Russell.
Yeah.
If you want to play a systematic game, you're going to go Finn Smith. So I personally think they're going to go with you. Well, not even personally. You have to go Finn Russell.
Yeah, I think you're probably right there. I think right now he will be in their minds as the starting 10, and I think it will be on the 2 Smith boys to try and force their way in.
Yeah. So I think that I'd say the two English boys, they're going to be like the midweek squad team, like 10s to try and get in. But again, if Finn Russell doesn't turn up the first test, the other 2 boys could smash.
Yeah,
and that's what I mean. Like at the moment, we spoke about this Lions squad, and it's a strong old, probably one of the strongest squads we've ever had.
Yeah.
Up to now.
Centres, I think the centres are dictated by the 10. Because you've got 4 centres there and you've got 2 partnerships, haven't you? for you've got Bundy Aki, Connacht and Ireland, Hugh Jones, Glasgow Warriors, Scotland, Gary Ringrose, Leinster and Ireland, and Sione Tuipulotu, Glasgow, Scotland. Now, do you go the two Irish boys together because they know each other's game inside out, or do you go the two Jock lads together because they know each other inside out? The centre partnership is so crucial, isn't it? I would be tempted to just go for the first test. Would go a Scottish 10, 12, 13 because they know each other so well. Tuipulotu is flipping sensational, mate. He is to the fore, in my opinion. I think Hugh Jones is. It's difficult because Tuipulotu and Bundy Aki are going to play 12. Hugh Jones and Gary Ringrose are going to play 13. I think Hugh Jones is top level.
Yeah, since he left Quins, he just turned it up. But I would go, you're going to laugh at me now, just because of this season, Bundy Aki at 12, and I'll go Hugh Jones at 13.
Well, I suppose this is what the tour is all about, that they've got time to try those combinations.
Yeah. The only reason why I say that, unless Scottish boy, can't pronounce his name as you well know, unless he...
But he's still injured, isn't he?
Yeah, get up to full fitness and start smashing you'd look at it, but Bundy Aki's playing well. He's fit. He's able to, do you know what I mean, shift. So
if this was a club side looking to the future, Bundy Aki is 35 years old. But it's not about the future, it's about the here and now. Are there any centres who you think were unlucky not to be selected?
With those 4 centres from the tournament this year, like the Six Nations and that, I'd say they are the best 4.
Well, Tuipulotu was injured, wasn't he?
Yeah, but if you think about what he's done, like how he is, but he is a proper 12. He's a bit like Bundy Aki.
There is one guy who wasn't in contention this year, but I think will retire without ever being selected, and I think he's very unfortunate. Henry Slade.
Henry Slade had injuries.
But if you look back, I think he was unlucky not to go in 2017 because for Exeter, from like 2016 to 20 up until recently, Rick, he hasn't dipped, but he's, like you said, he's had his injury problems. But Henry Slade at his best, what a magician of a centre.
Yeah, he was class centre, but the issue is, it's like you said, you've got to play for the here and now.
Yeah.
And
I'm not saying he should have been selected this time. I just wanted to mention him because I think in 2017 in particular, he was very unlucky because he was, I remember, I forget who it was against, penalty at Sandy Park. It might have been his semi-final, and he's from deep inside his own half, down the line, left-footed on the angle, and it's as close to the corner flag as you could ever hope to be. And I just think a top player. But anyway, I just had to mention him.
I would say that
I'm going to go Tuipulotu and Hugh Jones.
Yeah, I would say also to think about Tommy Freeman in the centres as well.
And Elliot Daly.
Yeah. So,
Daly brings a... All right, so are we going to agree on this? Tuipulotu and Hugh Jones? I know you said Bundy Aki and Hugh Jones.
I'm going to go Bundy Aki and Jones.
I'm going to go for an all-Scottish 10, 12, 13. Right, wingers. So we got Elliot Daly, Saracens in England, the utility back. Obviously, he can play 13, 11, 14, 15. Tommy Freeman, Northampton Saints in England. Mac Hansen, Connacht in Ireland. James Lowe, Leinster in Ireland. And Duan van der Merwe, Edinburgh and Scotland. Now, I think we're going to agree on these two.
I don't know.
I'm going to say James Lowe, number 11.
Yeah.
Tommy Freeman, number 14. Or do you just go with two massive units and have Freeman and Van der Merwe? I think James Lowe has got the attitude you need against Australia. He's a big game player. He's got that left foot option. He's just, I know some people don't like him, but he's just a top player. And I think Van der Merwe, his stock has maybe dropped a little bit.
I would go James Lowe, and the other wing, I'd have the little Aussie mathematician. I'd go with Mac Hansen. I think Mac Hansen is so nimble. He breaks game lines, sets tries up. He's outrageous, mate. And like honestly, like you look at Mac Hansen for Ireland, and like what he does for the Irish team is amazing. Like, but again,
He
you got
reminds
Tommy.
me of who's the French winger with the scrum hat? BLBMA.
Oh, Mac. God, you want to watch a sensational try against Toulouse in the semi-final of the Champions Cup?
I've seen it, mate.
That guy's a world, mate. No one's touching him in the world at the moment for winger wise.
I think he's overtaken Colby.
Patrino, mate.
That's the best winger. But anyway, I'm going James Lowe and Tommy Freeman.
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
And I think you have to have Daly on the bench. He's too valuable because you've only got four centres. You've only selected two specialist fullbacks. Daly, as I said, he could probably play 12 if you wanted him to. I know the modern day 12 is more of a power, and the 13's a bit more wily. But he can play 13. He can play 15. He can play either wing, predominantly left wing. He can smack a penalty from a million miles away, like we saw in the third test in 2017.
Yeah.
He's too valuable, so I think he has to be on the bench. But yeah, I'm going to go James Lowe and Tommy Freeman.
I'm gonna go Mac Hansen, but again, I think Mac Hansen's injured as well. So if he's not injured and he can get game time, be Hansen. Yeah. If not, I'll probably have to go Tommy Freeman. He's had a good year with England and Northampton, and I'd go James Lowe. But again, if James Lowe, James Lowe. I don't. People are going to kill me saying this. If you look at Van der Merwe, when does he only ever play his great games?
England.
Exactly. Any other time, people can hold him. People can stop him. It's only the English what can't. It's only us what can't. Do you know what I mean? We make him look a worldie, and deep down, he's not a worldie. I'm not being horrible. I think he's a good player, but he's just not James Lowe, Mac Hansen. He's not Tommy Freeman at the moment, because Freeman's been scoring. Do you know what I mean? He's been changing his game up. And yeah, and Elliot Daly, I think he's there, can cut a line, mate. He can cut a good line. We saw that when he played for England.
And Daly, I know he's not a 21-year-old anymore, but he's got the pace. You remember the try against Wales in the Six Nations in 2017?
Yeah.
When Jonathan Davis mucks up that kick, probably the first time in his life he's mucked a kick up, boots it down, forward to Farrell to Daly, bosh. But right, fullback. Now, this could get. Excuse me, man, I'm trying to plug my phone in because I'm low battery. Right, this could get interesting. On 10%, so we might have to wrap this up in a minute. Two specialist fullbacks, Hugo Keenan, Blair Kinghorn. I'm going to chuck in Marcus Smith into that.
Marcus Smith you can put into that, but if I was to choose my first choice, it'd be Blair Kinghorn. Yeah. Even though he's got a slight injury, Hugo Keenan's a great one as well. Like, do you know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with him, but I'd have to probably choose Blair Kinghorn in that position.
Yeah, I'll probably go for that. So just recap: Hugo Keenan, Leinster and Ireland, Blair Kinghorn, Toulouse, and Scotland. I'd agree with that. So we're looking quite. So in the backs, we've got a Welshman, 4 Scots. I'm taking Aki out. Sorry, mate. 2 Pilotu and Hugh Jones.
All right.
And then we've got obviously Lowe and Freeman / Hansen, and then Blair Kinghorn. I'll just see if I can remember everyone we picked then. So Andrew Porter, number 1. Dan Sheehan, hooker. Tight Ed, Furlong. Locks, Itoje and Ryan / Byrne. Back row, probably the most competitive area, but we went Jack Conan, number 8. Tom Curry / Pollock at number 6. Van der Fleer, 7. Williams, Russell, Tuipulotu, Jones, Lowe. I'll give you Matt Hansen because I'm having Tuipulotu in. Lowe, Matt Hansen, and Blair Kinghorn. That's some team.
Yeah.
That is some team, isn't it?
If they're all fit and do that.
Yeah.
And then, like I say, some players might play themselves in because most of the players apparently have all got finals potentially.
Yes.
To go to. So you think Northampton boys, they've got the Champions Cup final.
Yeah.
And then don't know who's going to make the Premiership final. I think Bath will. And whoever it will be. Leicester, Saracens, or.
Yeah. Well,
if
it is Bath, straight away you're looking at Will Stewart and Finn Russell will be playing those games.
Yeah. Leinster boys, URC final potentially.
Oh, well, it's a lot of them, isn't it?
That's what I mean. So there's going to be people.
38-man squad is 12 Leinster. Obviously, not every one of those Leinster will be starting that final because, like, for example, in the hooker position, you can only have one, obviously. But yeah, that's the beauty of the Lions tour, mate. You have plenty of time. There's time for guys to play themselves in, and there's time for guys to play themselves out.
Yeah,
it's going to be epic, mate.
And there's still time for guys to get themselves on that plane.
Yes, well, there will be injuries. It's just a sad fact of the tour. There will be injuries. Who are guys who haven't been selected, in your opinion? If we take one prop who hasn't been selected, one hooker, one second row, one back row.
Oh,
right. So who's a prop that hasn't been selected that you? Oh, I'll tell you what, there's too many. Let's narrow it down to 3 players who haven't been selected who you think would be the first names.
So, you've obviously, there's too many, though. I hate to say it, I know a lot of people kick off, but you've got your likes of, like you said, Emery Slade, you've got Owen Farrell, you've got Jamie George, you've got that Murray from Wales, the fullback.
Yeah.
I was gutted he never made it. He had and then you're looking at
Darcy Graham, Ben White,
George Ford,
Jack Willis.
Do you know what I mean? There's so many people that you can say and this is the thing. What everyone's going to do as well. Oh, these people have missed out. That's how strong the British Irish Lions are, and we know that.
Madness. This is a serious squad, isn't it?
Yeah,
serious.
It's a strong squad. If we fail in Australia this year, it's bad.
I think the test series is good. I don't think it's going to be a 3-0. I think it's going to be a 2-1.
Yeah,
I'm saying we should be successful because this is a serious team.
Yeah, if we're not successful in it, then questions have to be answered, like why with that squad?
Yeah,
why?
I agree. Right, mate. My phone's about to die, so I think we'll wrap it up there.
Yeah.
Good discussion. I like that. Enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I think we should do another one this week, and it's been on my mind since I did the football with my brother, and I know back in January-ish, you and I quickly rattled off our World 15s. I think we should do that this week. I've already got mine planned out. I wrote it down the other day.
Yeah, we'll do another one. We'll do same tomorrow, mate. If you want.
All right, we'll do it tomorrow then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Right, everyone. and everyone and anyone who's listening, thank you for listening and watching. Enjoyed it. This is episode 4, line selection, and we've somehow come up with a 15-ish, more like an 18, but there we go. And cheers, Edge, and I'll see you on the next one.
See you on the next one, mate.
Cheers. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.